Hi, everybody. In our technical update, I just wanted to include a little, actual kind of like walkthrough of some of the stuff that I spend a lot of my time doing. As we start to get ready for our big release coming up. If you guys have read my blurb, so I mentioned that most of our focus has really been on checking different configurations for starting conditions in the cluster and sort of seeing what are sort of our windows that we would consider like healthy for what we would want to expect in terms of cluster stability as we roll out mainnet and our big first deployment. So I just wanted to show a little screen share here of actually the actual dashboard and tools that we use in order to actually monitor what's going on under the hood and sort of check what really is sort of like the green light or red light, if you will. In terms of some type of a configuration or cluster state. For the most part, one of the most important things we really want to check, in addition to whether or not our basic processes are actually running. That's some stuff that we are able to check on this really simple page we have. This is directly on a Node UI. As we come up with a new process or something that we add, it's very easy to just sort of add a couple of these different metrics to let us know that there's a continual set of processes happening that we would expect, and each one of these different processes might have some kind of like an interesting condition that it doesn't necessarily render very well. One of these quantifiable kind of graphs over here. So for the most part, this is how we check just to see if the actual core, the whole node is running. This is something you guys will be able to see and modify if you're a developer and or one of our node operators. We actually deploy this thing. And this right here is another tool that we use called Grafana, which connects to a tool called Prometheus. I could get into it a bit later, but basically this is how we aggregate really like quantifiable metrics where we want to take a look at something in terms of like a time series. And for the most part, the most important thing, as I mentioned before, is actually making sure that the certain how would I say it? Well, basically these two really important things. Are we using up something called our heap space? Are we performing an operation or storing data in an efficient way that might cause a node to fall over or run into some sort of out of memory issue, or this other thing that you can take a look at right here, which is our CPU. This right here is a dashboard from a cluster that was running really well. I'll show you something that what it looks like when you make a change that causes it to break. And basically what we really want to see right here is at the bottom of this chart, you just want to make sure that there aren't any really big sort of spikes. And what that means is that some process might be causing the rest of the processes on the node itself in order basically just to stall. And then that can back up all of the usage or the utilization of what we call CPU or the ability to run and process things at the same time on your instance or whatever you're using to host this thing. And essentially that causes another issue. Same thing as we have up here with this heap, the memory that's utilized. We want to make sure that is typically below some kind of threshold that we identify that tends to converge to over time. So this is a good node right here. We can see it's like well under 50% of the usage, and this is the aggregation of all the different nodes running on. I believe this is a 12 node cluster. And so, so this right here is an example of a really good node. And these are the kind of things that we really want to check whenever we implement something new or change a configuration, because this is how we know that, we sort of moved outside of the boundary that we would consider stable. So this is another node. I think this is a bit bigger. I don't know the exact thing we were testing here, but I thought it was a really good example to share of, something that you'll be able to see if there are issues, on our clusters or on our nodes. So basically right here, there's this actually has a really good CPU. It's really normal to see these kind of spikes. Actually, this was a good run as well. But as well, this is just a larger one. I think I'll move over here to This one, yeah, this was one that fell over. Yeah, very large guy. I think this is 24. Yeah. So basically, what happened right here. This is a great example of some kind of an issue where certain processes sort of cause each other to, maybe what we call cascading. I think that I remember that specifically from what I was trying to solve, with this cluster right here. But basically, all the CPU, this utilization right here goes from something that's very bounded and very, very manageable, right around like 20%. Looks great, and then it just goes crazy over here because there was some type of a condition that happened, and these giant spikes right here show us that there's a ton of things that are sort of backing up and redundantly happening, and essentially just causing the node to not be able to be overwhelmed with stuff it has to do. And yeah, same thing right here with the heap issue. Although it looks like we actually were able to bound ourselves in this way as well. So this was and also from memory here, an issue where we had some kind of issues around threading and locking. So yeah, that's just sort of a little rundown. This is kind of like how I check these different most important things that we need to know in terms of is our node stable. And I look forward to sharing a little bit more about this. And feel free to, I hope you guys take a look at my little board that's going to go with this as well. But yeah, so thank you guys.